Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to get into the sound, the real feel of reggae music. Our mission is basically to pin down what makes reggae sound like reggae. You know, how it's different from what came before and what those key ingredients are. It all kicked off in 1960s Jamaica, right? Became really tied up with the Rastafarian movement. It was like the soundtrack for the culture, the history, the struggles.
Absolutely. And that's what we're exploring, how these specific musical choices, some really quite subtle, make reggae sound so unique and why it carries such, well, cultural weight. It's not just music. It's a whole feeling, a vibe that, you know, people connect with everywhere.
Okay, so where do we start defining that sound? For me, it's got to be the rhythm. That offbeat feel is just immediate. It gives it that kind of jumpy, almost floaty vibe. And the one-drop rhythm, that's classic reggae, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Heavy on the third beat, but like nothing on the first beat. It's really distinctive.
It absolutely is. And the guitar's role in that is fascinating. It's not strumming like in, say, folk music. It's more of a sharp, kind of percussive hit on the downstroke. Often muted. People call it the skank, or sometimes that chicka chicka sound.
Right, the skank, like a rhythmic punctuation mark.
Exactly. Short, sharp on the offbeat. It drives that pulse but leaves lots of space. Precision is key.
And space seems key because then you have the bass line filling it up. The bass in reggae isn't just hanging back, is it? It feels like, well, like the main event sometimes.
Oh, completely. It's often way up front in the mix. Those really low sub-bass frequencies are meant to hit you, physically move the dance floor.
Yeah.
It's a total rethink of what the bass does in a band.
So how do players get that sound, that really deep, heavy tone?
Well, what's interesting is it really starts with the hands. Technique is just paramount. Players often go for flat wound strings, less finger noise, clearer pitch, and sometimes they'll even use things like foam behind the bridge just to mute it slightly, cool the extra sustain, get a really clean round note.
Pure, deep notes. Okay. But what about getting that specific fat reggae tone, or the dub vibe people talk about? Is that complicated gear?
Surprisingly, no, not usually. For the basic fat tone, it's often just simple EQ work. Turn up the bass, obviously.
Yeah.
Roll off the treble. Then you just kind of tweak the mids till it sits right, till you get that definition.
Okay.
For that real dub vibe, common trick is using just the neck pickup on the bass, bridge pickup off, tone control all the way off. Then you might roll the main volume back just a bit. It gives you this super deep, resonant throb. It's more about sculpting than fancy pedals.
Right, sculpting the sound. Now here's where it gets really interesting for me. The words, the lyrics. So much reggae seems to come from this place of, well, real struggle, animosity, survival, being fighters. It tackles big political, social issues head on.
Absolutely. And that connects straight to how it's sung. That distinctive Jamaican accent, first off. And the sing-jay style, that mix of singing and toasting, which is kind of rhythmic speech, half sung, half chanted.
Yeah, like a storyteller.
Exactly. And production often adds to that weight. Lots of reverb, those classic dub, delays the echoes on the vocals. It creates this sense of space, makes the words hang in the air, you know. That gives them impact.
So, okay, we know it came out of ska and rocksteady, earlier Jamaican styles, but how did reggae carve out its own totally separate sound?
Yeah, if you look at the big picture, a huge part of it is tempo. Reggae is just slower, usually somewhere between, say, 80 and 110 beats per minute, much slower than ska, for instance. And that slower pace is crucial. It creates that spacious, unhurried groove. It lets everything breathe. It sets it apart from faster pop music and even its own roots. It gives you time to really sink into it, feel the rhythm, hear the message.
So there you have it. You put together those elements, the offbeat thing, the one drop, that dominant bass with its special tone, the conscious lyrics. It all just locks together to make this sound that's instantly reggae. You know it when you hear it, and it hits deep.
Which really leads to a fascinating thought, doesn't it? How does a genre built on such specific, sometimes pretty subtle musical ideas, and so tied to one particular culture's story, how does it manage to travel so far, to resonate with people all over the world, getting them not just dancing, but actually listening, thinking, reflecting on these universal themes of resilience, struggle, and connection?